So I was talking about the number of times that I've ridden this trail. So the first time was part of that dual sport event. I think that I was going in this direction. No, actually, I believe I was going in the other direction. Then another time, let's see, would have been the time that I got soaked in September. So let's talk about some dates. Got soaked in September, I'm pretty sure that was 2008. The time before that, which was on the dual sport ride, was probably 1998 or 99. And then the last time would have been 2015 when I came over here with a friend who was a teacher. So it's been 9 years since I last rode this trail. It's a long haul to get to the bottom side of this trail if you want to ride it up. One of the things I vividly remember about this trail the first time I rode it is that somewhere there was this big platform built off to the side of the trail. No idea what the purpose would have been. I don't think that it was big enough to have been any kind of a platform for a helicopter to land on, but maybe a helicopter would drop supplies on that for who knows what, trail maintenance or something like that. What I remember about this trail is that it's not terribly challenging in either the up or downhill direction. And that's why I wanted to take that friend on it back in 2015. We did actually ride out by those two lakes, and buried back in the trees, you actually sort of have to walk a little ways to get to it. There's the remnants of an old Forest Service maintenance crew cabin. I've seen that cabin when it was fully intact, and that last time I was out to it in 2015, it was pretty much just a pile of rubble. The snow load had taken its toll, and the timbers had rotted and to the point where they could no longer support the snow load, so it just fell in on itself. I probably have some pictures of that when it was still standing. I'll throw those in this video if I see them, or if I can find them. I was really intrigued by this old wood stove inside the cabin. It had a Forest Service logo on it. In 2005. I know now that it was 2005 because of me and a friend and a few other friends did a huge trail riding trip and camped at all the awesome trail riding areas. Spent like 2 or 3 days camped at each location and a couple of days worth of riding at each spot. I put some radiator guards on this bike about 3 years ago, and they drive me nuts because they restrict enough airflow when I'm moving, so the fan runs a lot. It kicked off and then it just kicked back on. This trail, I would say that it probably never gets a lot of use even during the peak of the riding season by, I would say, by non-street legal bikes, because you need to traverse some Forest Service roads to make some connections to some other trails. And it does make for a really long day if you're going to trail ride and take the road back to the other side. The peak of my elevation, at least when I last looked at the GPS, it was about 6,400 feet. I don't remember what I was at that fire lookout, or the old fire lookout. This trail would definitely be a little bit more entertaining going uphill. We're at 5,900 feet right now. Come on. Don't die on me. I'm in second gear right now. Soaking wet left foot. I have a USB battery operated fan. It's battery operated, but it has it's a built-in battery, but it charges it recharges via USB. I'll link a video to that on my other channel. So that's what I'm going to lay out tonight to blow into my boots to dry them out. You can see the amount of downed trees that trail maintenance crews had to contend with during the years after that last forest fire, which I think was in 1994. All the dead trees have pretty much mostly fallen over. But while we are on the topic of trail clearing, notice how far back off the trail a lot of these trees are cut. That's the preferred method of doing trail clearing, is to cut the trees several feet back away from the trail. That one needs cut more on the left. It's hidden by a bush. I need to watch my left foot there. I smacked something on the trail pretty good. Just when I thought it was good for second gear, then I round a switchback, but I just feathered the clutch a little bit and was able to get around that switchback just fine. I saw that coming. Whoa. It's cool to see these wildflowers in bloom and the aroma in the air. There's some serious remote roads across the way there. This we need to be a little careful. I don't want my rear tire dropping off of these blocks into that little rut. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, for sure, up through 2006, for a handful of those years, I was running a helmet cam. It was probably the only viable system to be used as a helmet cam. It did not record digitally. It was long before the age of digital cameras and action cameras and whatnot. Well, as far as digital, I mean digital camcorder type cameras. Digital videography. It was a camera made by Hitachi. It recorded in the high 8 format, which was 8mm higher resolution. And the camera lens separated from the camera body, or from the recording unit. And this is a little sketchy too. And let's see, it had a coiled cable that interconnected the camera to the recording unit, or maybe only part of the cable was coiled. I don't remember. I still have that camera. One of these days I'll dig that sucker out and do a little quick video intro on that beast. And there was a company that made they discovered that camera, decided that was an option for a helmet cam. So they made a bag for it, a chest-mounted bag. And the bag was such that you had a harness to wear it. Whoa. I didn't want to be gouging my foot peg on that block. The front piece, the front bag, is where the camera rode, and then there was a harness that wrapped around your back, over your shoulders, and then also under your armpits, and a little X pattern harness on the back, on your back. But then you could take that harness off and then run it connected to one of their backpacks. So their backpacks were made in such a way that they had the ability to strap this camera bag onto that pack. And that's what I had gotten a few years before, was that little blue pack that I used for quite a number of years. And I ran that camera in the chest pack on the front. It clipped to the harnesses for the chest or for the backpack. So when I needed to check the camera, I would unclip the top 2 clips, flip the camera down or the chest pack down towards my handlebars, and then I could open up the top of it to change batteries and change tapes. Tape would run for 2 hours in the mode that I had it set for, and initially I was running batteries, and the batteries would last, I think, about an hour. And in later years I wired a 12-volt outlet on my DR350, and then I also did that to my DRZ400, and I would run the DC power supply off of the bike power to power the camera. So all I had to do was take the camera out, and to change tapes, not to change batteries. So we drop down into this woodsy section, and we've got a lot of switchbacks. That much I remember about this trail. So this area burned, and these are all new fresh trees from after the fire. I think we kind of lose elevation pretty fast. Right now we're at 5,386 feet. I'm running a old school Garmin GPS map 478 on my handlebars. That's the only GPS that I have this bike wired for. I've been using this GPS since about 2012. So back to the camera, the lens unit, image sensor, whatever, detached from the main camera body, and I had a bracket mounted to the side of my helmet, and the lens would bolt to that bracket. I've got a lot of tapes from that camera. I've tried to digitize them and put them into a format that I can manipulate digitally. But the first thing I have to do, because my new computer doesn't support the old video capture card that I originally used, is I have to convert the tape to a digital format by feeding it into a mini DV tape player, VCR, that records and has auxiliary input. And then I can take that tape and import it into the PC digitally. That tape recorder, the VCR that does the mini DV tapes, it has a FireWire output, and I have an ancient laptop that dates back to about 2010 that has a FireWire input on it. I'm still running Windows XP and can digitize that video footage. I honestly didn't expect it to be quite this warm up at this elevation. Crazy idea, I actually packed a rain jacket, which I wear as a windbreaker. I wish I didn't have that, because it would have allowed more space in my backpack to be able to jam my jacket inside. I don't have the jacket stuffed all the way into the backpack. But there's a cinch strap over the top. So this is a newly cut tree S. It's common for trail crews to carve their initials into a log. Yeah, I should have been in first gear through that, but second was just fine. The other thing that limits this trail to not a whole lot of usage is because it's such a big loop, it keeps a lot of non-street legal bikes off of it in theory, due to fuel range of a two-stroke bike or a non-plated bike. So why does that make a difference? To do this trail and make it a big loop, a person probably just about has to gas up down at the little store out on the pavement. Got some serious overcrowding of these spindly little trees. Memory serves me correct, there's no other trails that intersect this trail. So that's what makes it not a terribly feasible trail to use as a connector trail or loop or whatever on a non-plated bike that can't ride on the roads. And once we pop out onto the road, it's probably a good 5 or 6 miles down the road before we get to the pavement. Okay, so here's the trailhead, essentially, kind of. I think there's a gate up here. Crazy, the road just peters out and turns into a trail. I actually didn't expect to be off the trail so soon. So that dual sport ride where I rode this, I'm pretty sure we rode it downhill. Because what I'm remembering now is me and a friend and a kid that used to work for him. The kid was riding the friend's big bike. It was a KTM 400 something. And he came ripping past me, practically doing a wheelie. I don't think he really was doing a wheelie, but he came past me at a pretty good clip, and it's like, holy crap, I can't even be half that good. So we have a nice big parking area at the trailhead. Let's kill the B-roll camera. I guess I did forget to turn it on, probably after I stopped and changed the battery for the big camera, because it was still running, which means the battery wasn't dead. That's the drawback of that little camera, is it doesn't have a replaceable battery. So where are we at? We're at 4,500 feet. One thing to take note of, speaking from personal experience, this is my piece of advice to moto vloggers when you're riding off-road: pack extra water. Your mouth tends to get dry and parched, all the rambling and talking that you do while you're riding. Interesting, this is a paved Forest Service road. Pretty boring, so I'm going to kill the camera right here. So I've zipped down the pavement a ways. Here's another trailhead for a different trail, and this goes downhill to the paved road that I want to connect to, and it dumps me down onto the pavement further down towards my ultimate destination. And then up there is the uphill segment of this trail. So this will basically cut off some pavement time, not only on that paved Forest Service road that I was just on, but on the main paved road that this trail and that road connect to. I don't think this trail is more than a mile or so long. 24.5 miles right now. I'm pretty sure that this is what I did the last time I rode this trail with the teacher friend back in 2015. I think it's time to rewire this bike for a different GPS, because this particular GPS has made a complete mess of the route that I just took. It has split up the track log into a whole bunch of little sections because it's lost its GPS signal. The other GPS that I have, Garmin Zumo XT, I've been running that for about a week and a half on my DRZ, and not once did it ever lose satellite signal. Fun little fast downhill. What? I'd also like to engineer another RAM mount on the handlebars of this bike so that I could run a smartphone style mapping system. More fresh cut logs. I almost am positive this is what I did in 2015, because I remember a nice little woodsy section before the pavement, and then I think we crossed a creek down here. Whoa. Chatter, chatter, chatter. Time to do something to my chain. It's probably too loose. Having a bald tire that doesn't grab traction when I'm slowing down like that is part of the issue too, so the tire just drags through the dirt. So let's talk a little bit more about the camera system that I have here, DJI Osmo Action 4. I ordered a kit on Amazon and then saw another the adventure package, which had another mount, a little stubby mount, And I thought, oh, that's the mount that I need for this Dango Designs clip on my helmet, so that keeps the camera more out of my field of vision. But that's the only way you could get that shorter magnet mount with the feet on it, is in the adventure kit. So I actually tried to cancel the order that I placed for the standard camera and battery, but the order had already gotten processed far enough where I couldn't cancel it. Ugh. Remember, I'm not too skilled at switchbacks. So I ended up returning the camera the day that it arrived. I didn't even open the box that it shipped in. And I went to Best Buy. They actually had a couple of the adventure kits in stock. I see the paved road all the way out there in that patch of dirt. Just gotta stay far enough to the left or the right side of the trail so my rear tire and swing arm doesn't get hung up on that rock. Left-hand switchbacks suck. I hate them because I'm not too skilled at switchbacks. Remember that, kids. So the action adventure kit, or whatever you want to call it, I think it's actually just called the adventure kit. It has a little battery charging case. It comes with 3 batteries. It comes with a standard magnet mount with standard height feet, and then the stubby one. And what else does it include? A couple of little mounting pucks to stick to things with self-adhesive tape. But that's about it, I believe. So the magnet, or I'm sorry, the charging case is epic for doing what I'm doing today. I can ride with the batteries in that case. I have them in my backpack at the moment in the case. What I need to do is number the batteries and then operate from a normal sequence of batteries when I am out riding, and put them in their designated spot in the case. So battery number 1 is always on the left, battery 2 in the middle, battery 3 on the right. Well, the cool thing about that battery pack too is that you can literally use it as a charging bank to charge things like a cell phone or whatever. And I also have another external battery pack, so when I stopped up on top of the mountain, I pulled that battery pack out, plugged it into the camera to top off my charge just a little bit. And then it was a couple miles after that that I changed batteries. So far, I've been running the camera pretty much non-stop on this entire ride, and I'm only partway through my second battery. And another good thing that I have decided to do today is, since I'm packing extra batteries, okay, we do not want to go to the right. That goes up to another sketchy trail section. Let's mark a waypoint there. So where was I? Rambling about batteries. Oops, I totally went the wrong way. Yeah, so I do remember this bridge. Very awesome view up the river. And we have a little creek coming into the side there. Anyway, I was rambling about batteries in some form or fashion and kind of completely got off track where I was in that discussion. Oh, so what I've decided to do today is to pack a little USB 120 volt powered charging brick. So when I get down to my lunch stop, I will plug in my batteries and top them off. I have an old iPhone charging brick. I don't know what the power output is on what I should be using for charging these batteries, but I'll get some sort of a charge with that pathetic 15 watt charging brick. 26.0 miles down to the road. And now I don't remember what I was at when I popped onto that lower segment of the trail. I think it was 24 something. So this is a long, twisty, paved curve road. Wow, that was a long pavement ride. It's about 18 miles. Lunch and gas stop are coming up in just a short bit. Just a little ways around that corner up ahead. Actually, it's right at that corner. Oh, look at that, a nice shady spot to chill out. And the picnic tables are in the shade too. Sweet. Oh. I've lost track of how many times I've been here this year. 5 or 6 at least. 44.4 miles, so yeah, it's about 18 miles of pavement. Let's see if that odometer loses its brain when I shut the bike off and get ready to go again. I'm pretty sure the battery in it is dead. Because I reset it when I left camp this morning, and then at some point on the trail it reset back to 0. Anyway, it's lunchtime.